Is it bad when you said Ichi? The first thing that came into my mind was Ichiban Boshi.
No, we're past that.
Yes.
That was last week.
Yes.
It's a
Hammy.
It's
We'll
a problem.
never
I apologize.
We'll never escape.
Oh no.
You can't escape Ichiban Boshi. He's eternal.
He's the number one shining star.
Number one shining
Look
star.
what you did, Cammy.
I'm so sorry.
Look what you did.
I'm so sorry.
Now I need you to sit in the podcast corner and
Okay.
think about what you've done.
Okay,
No.
I'm walking away. I'm walking away.
Oh, please come back. I can't be away from you.
きっと約束だよいつかまた同じ笑顔で
Hey everyone, and welcome to this thrilling episode of the Annie Chat Box. My name is Craig, and this is episode 96. But I'm not alone in this episode. To my immediate right in the next room over, we have the producer extraordinaire, Cass.
I'm finally not sick.
Woohoo!
Yeah. Woo!
You're on the upswing. Congratulations.
Knock on wood.
In the same room, we have the resident not a weeb 2.0 Dom.
Craig is making me feel very uncomfortable right now.
What?
I need an adult.
The irony here is we're all adults. On the East Coast, across the country, is the precious cinnamon roll of the podcast, Kimi.
I, on the other hand, was living for Craig's funny voice, but he has clearly abandoned it now, so I'm just gonna sit here relishing in the goodness that it was.
Hey.
Now you see how I feel every time you talk down to me and then stop.
Woo! Conversation for another time.
Social links. You can reach out to us in short form and long form via Twitter and email. Twitter.com/AnyChatBox for 280 characters or less. We post updates on the episodes as well as sneak peek previews as to what our episodes will be, as well as random fun tweets courtesy of Dom over there. If you want to reach out to us in long form, hit us up on email, anychatmail@gmail.com. Again, that is anychatmail@gmail.com. If you want to suggest topics or lifeboat possibilities for anime, feel free to do so over there. We can be found on multiple podcast services around the globe, such as iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, and SoundCloud, as well as YouTube with a nice image. And finally, you can reach out to us on Patreon, patreon.com/AnyChatBox to donate some hot cash months, peruse the tiers, as well as see if you have it in your heart of hearts to donate to the cause of weebs making a dedicated podcast. Also, just wanted to roll it back a little bit. If you find it within your heart of hearts to give us an iTunes review, which I think we have 2 of those.
We do.
We should read those.
We will probably next episode read all of the reviews that you lovely people have sent in addition to some new wonderful emails that we got. We're not going to keep putting them in a hole for us to read in one episode. We'll try and keep up with them from now on. So tune into that next week. We'll get that taken care of.
Right on. And speaking of Patreon, shout outs to our patrons, Sarah, CorpsyAnn, Carol, Suki, and Paul. Yeah, thanks guys. And if you haven't had enough of me, then feel free to listen to another podcast I'm a part of, Saber Progress, soundcloud.com/SaberProgress, twitter.com/SaberProgress. Last week we did Char's Counterattack on Anime Movie Night, so if you want to hear me, Zach, Pete, and Paul try and dissect the intricacies of Char's Counterattack and why everyone wants to fight each other and how cool Char is on a horse, you can find it there. Alright. With that out of the way, today is a double up episode of reviews, so we're going to forego a main topic. first up on the board here is Wotaku no ni koi wa Muzukashii, otherwise known as Wotakoi. Love is hard for otaku. The studio is A1 Pictures. Other shows by them: Blend S and Yaku Soku no Neverland, aka Promised Neverland. Well, actually, no, isn't that Cloverworks that's doing that?
It's listed as they're helping out with them too. So
oh, cool. I actually had
down.
no idea on that.
So we could be wrong, but that's what it's listed on Mal.
Oh, cool. Synopsis goes as such. Having slept through all 4 of her alarms, God, that's relatable, and the energetic Narumi Momose finds herself running late for her first day of work at a new office. As she races to catch up to her train, she makes a promise to herself that none of her coworkers will find out about her dark secret, that she's an otaku and a fujoshi. Her plan goes instantly awry, however, when she runs into Hirotaku Nifuji, an old friend from middle school. Although she tries to keep her secret by inviting him out for drinks after work, her cover is blown when he casually asks her whether or not she will be attending the upcoming Summer Comic-Con. Luckily for her, the only witnesses, Hanako Koyanagi and Taoru Kabakura, are otaku as well. Later that night, the pair go out for drinks so that they can catch up after all the years apart. After Narumi complains about her previous boyfriend breaking up with her because he refused to date a fujoshi, Hirotaka suggests that she try dating a fellow otaku, specifically himself. He makes the solemn promise to always be there for her, to support her, and to try to help farm for rare drops and Monster Hunter. Courtesy of the Nintendo Switch. That's pretty rad. Blown away by the proposal, Narumi agrees immediately. Thus, the two otaku start dating, and their adorably awkward romance begins. Bum, ba-da-bum, bum, bum, bum. Guys, let's get into the story. Tell me your surface level thoughts about this show.
Okay, straight out the gate, I was instantly engaged in this show because it had characters that were around my age and had similar interests as I do. That was a huge hook for me.
Yeah, especially because we've been getting a few more of those in recent years, but not many that focus not just at the workplace, I guess.
Very true.
We're getting a lot of the working women doing working women things, which I totally support, don't get me wrong, but I don't get a lot of workplace romance anime. That don't happen.
Nope, usually in high school.
Yeah, I agree with Cami. It was a breath of fresh air to not just have a cast that is my age, has similar hobbies, but also, you know, has interpersonal relationships outside of work that are of a romantic variety. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, the thing that hooked me, or rather kind of like made me get into it, I got into the show after it aired and just kind of binged it. It's as you guys said, it's different, right? The workplace romance, and not only the fact that it's just adults and not set in high school, but it's kind of relatable in all of our hobbies. Some of us like video games, others of us are like just like strictly anime and stuff like that. And then Cammy linked the opening. I was like, oh, that's actually that's bopping. I like that. And then I saw, I think it was either Dom or Cass that tweeted like images of the Narumi and Hirotaka playing Mario Kart, and I'm just like, yes, we've all been there. All of us, literally in this virtual room, have played Mario Kart at one central location and got salty over blue shells.
Generally, Cassie.
Yeah.
Yep. Generally, Cass.
Fuck those things.
Yeah, not even just like romantic relationships, but I also just love the friendships in this show. It's like adult otaku friendships, like you said with the Mario Kart thing. Like so many sleepovers between the friends that happen in this show just reminded me verbatim of like sleepovers that we've all had. So I got like really drawn into that and felt very sentimental.
Oh yeah, for sure. And that's why I say it's relatable.
Yeah.
And yeah, because of that, it's just like it was like a easy like chillax like binge essentially. And interestingly enough, it's only 11 episodes. Like it's done and over pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we feel like it was, well, yeah, everyone can weigh in their opinions. Was it, because, like, did this have a linear plot, or did it feel more episodic to you?
Here's the thing, and this is what I wanted to get to when I got to nitpicks, because I do have a couple.
Yeah.
I think that overall, Wotakoi is not a linear story.
Yeah.
For the most part, it is episodic, and it mostly follows the two main couples and their various hobbies, and how, even though that they're all otaku, they all have various relationship problems, or I wouldn't say problems, but, you know, issues that they get to conquer together that results from those hobbies, or just themselves that they get to conquer together or as a group, and that is great. However, they introduce some characters later, and some intriguing characters, that for some reason they introduce those plot points, and that's what the show has, is plot points.
Mm-hmm.
Like little places that you stop when you're, you know, like when you go somewhere in a lift and you can stop at the McDonald's. You know, you can put that plot point at the map. That's
You
basically...
can do that?
Yes, you can.
Huh.
You can actually be like, oh, okay, I want to go to the airport, but before I get to the airport, I want to stop at the McDonald's. You can do that.
Damn.
Yeah, it's all there.
The more you know.
The more you know. But yeah, that's what Wotakoi is. It's like, I'm going to the airport and I'm expecting one thing, but oh, hey, here's this new character, and what do they add to the mix? And most of them are added in like the second half of the show, or their interactions are added, and I almost felt that even though they were intriguing, I was a little frustrated because they didn't get as much depth as the other characters because they threw them in at the end.
Isn't that always the case, though?
It is, but that doesn't mean I have to like it.
Yeah, I started reading the manga about halfway when the show was airing, and I knew about those characters, but I wasn't sure if they would introduce them given the like 12 to 13 episode length of this show. So I was a little surprised and honestly kind of disappointed to see them, because basically I knew at that point that it was just going to kind of start and then flounder somewhere instead of really trying to bring in something substantial near the end. So personally, I'd agree with that nitpick. I think the thing that keeps me okay despite those nitpicks is just that, like, I love watching these characters do anything. You know, like, I could watch 50 episodes of them just, like, fumbling around day to day and their little interactions, which I think is a strength of the story. They make the characters and the setting charming enough that you want to keep watching.
For reals. And that's why if this was slated for a season 2, which we don't know, I would have almost no gripes for what they try and do with what, you know, little story there is here. It's episodic and it's fun, but because I want more, I'm sad.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Mm-hmm. Dom, do you have any takes on the story or surface level thoughts on the show?
I didn't really come for the story. I think I only started watching this because me and Cassie watched it together as like a it's like a couples activity.
Yeah.
So I didn't come for the plot. It wasn't a concern for me, so I didn't really care that they introduced characters and then didn't really like completely flesh them out, because it was a one core show, and I figured, well, this is based off a manga that has several volumes out already. So I was like, you know, this is kind of bound to happen. I guess I personally was expecting it, so it didn't really bother me.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And I got what I wanted, which was dorky, you know, like interactions.
Hijinks.
Yeah, hijinks and relatable characters. So I didn't really have an issue with it, honestly.
Nice.
And again, my statements were mostly nitpicks of, I want more
Yeah.
of this, plus. And if you're going to introduce the characters, at least, you know, I don't know, it just frustrates me, I guess, in general when that happens. It's just like, if you knew you were going to have a short runtime, with being uncertain that if you're going to have a season 2, why not jump ahead, especially in an episodic show? It's not like they would be dropping points in the plot. They could very easily, you know, jump to a future chapter and show us more of the two couples.
Yeah.
Good point.
That I think that most people who watch have the most investment in them. So
For sure.
yeah, it would have been a good choice to to kind of ham-fist and focus on them near the end. But yeah, I mean, I agree wholeheartedly. It's a nitpick, doesn't necessarily take away that the show aims to give you dorky romance, like Dom said, and it does.
Guys, since we've really been talking about the characters and the story such as it is, it's episodic, let's talk about characters. Who is your favorite couple and or character?
They're also fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
They really are. Oh gosh, how do you say his name? Hotataka or
Hirotaka.
sorry, Hirotaka. I cannot pronounce his name. I don't know why. Even when I was watching the show, like even today, I had to go and like look up how to pronounce his name. I can't do it. But I just loved him because he was always the punchline for me.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, if he was
Dry humor.
Yeah, if I was laughing while watching the show, it was normally because of something that he said or did or both. And I think that even the way that he got into a relationship was very interesting in how he worded why they should be together. He was just so fun, even though he was the most stoic character on the cast, so I liked him a whole lot. Also, I found that his interactions with his significant other to be super, super cute when they did happen.
Heck yes. Heck yes. I think that's actually a really good point. Like, now that I'm even just recalling a lot of the moments that I laughed the hardest at were because of Hirotaka. I also really like that while he is oftentimes very stoic, they really show that he does have his own feelings and his like personality kind of beyond the archetype, which I think is a really a good feat of the show, especially compared to the next show on our Double Up review. So yeah, no, Hirotaka was great. And my favorite character was his companion Narumi, mostly just because she's a great MC. I found her very relatable with her obsessions. I also really appreciated her impatience with gaming because I found that to be severely relatable.
Mm-hmm.
When they were playing something and she and Hirotaka needed an item to drop, she's like, I've farmed this stage like 40 times, why can't I get a ruby? And he's like, oh, I'm sorry, and he has 5. I'm like, that's me and Get playing Fate Grand Order. Like, I know this rage. I feel it. I feel it.
For
So,
reals.
just, yeah, I related to Narumi a lot, and a lot of times I will say that my favorite character is one that I can relate to. I also like some of the doubts that she has moving forward into this relationship, but I won't, go too far into those. But I think that those are very human doubts and happen in a lot of relationships, even if we don't want to show it. So, yeah, respect to her. I like her.
Dom?
For me, Hirotaka is extremely relatable.
Yeah.
Just because I play a lot of video games and it's something I've always done. And like, in particular, the one scene that always sticks out to me is when they have the flashback to him and Narumi, like as kids, and they're like playing Super Nintendo and they're playing Donkey Kong Country 2, and she's like complaining about Dixie's jumps or whatever, and his response is essentially just like, no, you're wrong, you just need to get good. I was like, yeah, pretty much.
I'm pretty sure we've had the same conversation because I'm always like, I'm bad at video games. And then they're like, no, you just need to play them.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
basically.
shh.
But as far as like couple dynamics go, I actually preferred the other couple, Koyanagi and Kabakura.
Yeah.
I found their dynamics to not only be more interesting and compelling to watch, but also more entertaining as just a duo rather than
I can get that.
The main couple. So
Yeah,
it was that.
I'd have to agree. And there's something I really like about their relationship is that you can tell it's established. Like, that they are past a lot of the like kind of new starting relationship like anxieties and like awkwardness that you find with Hirotaka and Narumi. Like, they're the opposite end. They've been together long enough. They still have like doubts and clashes and stuff, but like that they have done this for a while, and it almost just makes them like extra endearing, like especially in their small moments. I like that a lot.
Yeah, I totally agree.
I'm actually on the other end of the spectrum. I actually preferred God damn it.
Hirotaka.
And Nanumi couple-wise, mostly because I think that the other couple made me laugh the most, and they also had these like little intricate moments that I appreciated a lot. But I think that their constant bickering and yelling at each other made me feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, I can get that too.
And I know some people can, manage to maintain a relationship like that, and it's mostly framed in a positive light, but stuff like that's just a little triggery for me, so it was sometimes hard to watch, especially when, for example, one of the characters makes the other character cry in a bar. That episode in particular was a little bit frustrating and
cringy.
And cringy. That's the best word for it for me, especially how it all was handled. Afterwards as well, I feel like there was a little bit of unhealthy behavior there. But outside of that, I really liked them, but that's what made them a little less desirable to me between the two couples, because I related to Nanumi and Hirotaka.
There you go, you did it. So proud of you.
I related to them more, but also I just see them as, even though they also have their clashes, a little bit more of a, I don't know, healthy relationship, but that I think that they're both healthy relationships, but like less triggery to me, I guess. I don't know the best way to put it.
No, it makes sense. Because I remember mentioning that episode to you, and you're like, "Yikes!" And I was like, I think it's kind of yikes, but at the same time, I don't know if it's spoilery to give any of the context, but like as Kimi said, they seem like they're like the seasoned veterans of their relationship, so they're like yell at each other, but then the next episode they're like, oh, I'm reading this like magical girl manga, and that's kind of like why I liked Taro Kabakura. Not only the fact that him and his significant other are like awesome voice actors in the industry. Kabakura is Tomokazu Sugita.
Wow.
And I'm like, yeah, it's rad. But like, I just like him because in the fact that he's like, I'm trying to hide this, but I'm not really knee deep in this culture, but at the same time, I like magical girls and I like these superheroes punching things. I'm like, I can get that. I can totally get that.
And I'm gonna put it out there, I like them all as characters. And
for sure.
And I do think that they're a good couple, especially because Kabakura is typically the person who pushes things too far.
Mm-hmm.
And he'll typically find a way to apologize, and not the, unhealthy relationship thing of, oh, I'm just going to apologize, just, fix the situation and then do it later. It's, I'm legitimately sorry. I fucked up. And the young lady whose name also I forget.
Koyanagi.
There we go. Koyanagi. Why do they all have such difficult names for me for some reason? She also sometimes will take things too far, and then later she will, jokingly, begrudgingly apologize. And I think that that's healthy and good. I just hate that they were constantly fighting.
I mean, I think it's just like how their relationship was like established, because I think even in high school it was like, oh
yeah,
they
hated each other's guts.
Yeah, so it's kind of like this weird dynamic that they have that isn't particularly natural, but I found it a lot more interesting to watch.
That's fair. I guess the best way for me to put it is if I were to go out on a double date with one of these couples,
you'd be very off-put.
I would be very off-put and uncomfortable. But they're all great. These are all good characters, and they all have varying personality types, which is really appealing.
Also, Koyanagi and Narumi's friendship is so good.
Oh my god, it is.
It's so good. There's like this gif of when they're like cuddling and rubbing up against each other with beer in their hands at the bar, and I was like, this is just like how I feel about all my girls, and like I love it so much. And their instant bonding as well was just so fun and so endearing. And then even when they clash on things, it's like hilarious.
Yeah. About nerd culture, really, with them.
Yeah.
That's another interesting thing about the show, is that it's not just like, oh, you have two couples and the dynamics are just shared between those two couples. It's like, the the two girls will get along together, the two guys will get along together. You even have like some cross in between.
Mm-hmm.
It's really so there's a lot of cool dynamics going on between the four main characters
Yeah.
that really fleshes them all out.
Their friendship is good. Friendship goals. And then also, like, I guess we don't really have to touch on them because we already did for their insertion. Like, for what we were presented of the kind of other minor side characters, I do like
The
them.
supporting characters.
Yeah, like, they're still
Yeah.
fun. And they interact well with the main cast as much as they have, so they were also good.
They were. I think I was most intrigued by a character that they introduced much later on.
Is it a spoiler to reveal these supporting characters?
I guess. I wasn't going to reveal who they were. I was just going to say that I was intrigued by one of the very last supporting characters that they introduced.
Yes.
And I think that's one of the reasons why I mentioned what I did earlier, because they were just so interesting and provided an insight into another different type of gamer. And I thought that was cool. And I was sad I didn't get more of them. So yeah, they did a good job with supporting characters if I want more.
Just gotta pray for that season 2.
Speaking of good things to be invested in, the production. Let's talk about the production.
You want to give your little, your notes first?
Yeah.
As a segue?
I was about to say, do you want to humor me in my notes?
Yes.
I like
always.
to call it Craig's Credit Corner, where he gives credit to
Craig's
those...
Credit Corner?
Where he gives credit to those in the industry that gave us what we now have. Thanks for the good food.
Oh, you know what? That's actually pretty good. I like that. Okay. Alrighty then. So, the production fun facts. This show was written and directed by Yashimasa Hiraike. He directed and wrote Amagami SS and Working Season 1. Music was composed by Akimitsu Honma, who did the music for Assassination Classroom Season 2 and Renee. As Dom mentioned previously, this was based on a manga, but here's the catch, and I actually figured this out through the Wikipedia, so shoutouts to them. Initially, the mangaka Fujita began posting the manga on Pixiv. Obviously, we know what Pixiv is, but for those who don't, it's a Japanese online community for artists, as well as rookie authors. The publication Ichi Jinsha then launched a digital manga magazine with Pixiv titled Comic Pool and started serializing the manga Wotakoi on a regular basis. The manga was then selected for Comic Pool because it was the most popular thing on Pixiv. In April 2015, Ichi Jinsha started the publication of the manga in print. So there you go.
Is it bad when you said Ichi? The first thing that came into my mind was Ichiban Boshi.
No, we're past that.
Yes.
That was last week.
Yes. Yes.
It's a
Hamming.
It's
We'll
a problem.
never escape.
I
We'll never
apologize.
escape.
Oh no.
You can't escape Ichiban Boshi. He's eternal.
He's the number one shining star.
Number one shining
Look
star.
what you did, Cammy.
I'm so sorry.
Look what you did.
I'm so sorry.
Now
Oh.
I need you to sit in the podcast
No,
corner
no.
and
Okay.
think about what you've done.
Okay,
No.
I'm walking away. I'm walking away.
Oh, please come back. I can't be away from you.
Can I at least say my brief thoughts on production?
Sure, go ahead.
I guess we can allow that.
Okay.
Please don't leave me.
Okay, I will never. I feel like the production in this show, animation-wise, really excelled in its character expressions the most. That is usually what got me. And there was also some very character-attentive animation in the way that they moved. Like I said, when they were, like, the two girls were bonding in the bar. I really love those little moments. It also played with references very often. There was a scene where Narumi was, like, at a conflict and they brought up, like, the battle options button thing, like the menu, where she could be. Like, it had a lot of fun doing that. On a whole, I think that the animation, though, was kind of inconsistent in spots and definitely dropped off in certain areas.
Oh, yeah?
So I don't necessarily consider the production the biggest highlight for me, but in the little moments and like the little tricks it did to give the show more personality were my favorite spots.
For reals.
Yeah. it seemed pretty clean for me for the most part. Like it was a slice of life. So like when they played games and stuff like that, everything was like drawn in a cute way. Shout outs again to Hirotaka for playing Monster Hunter, or what looked like Monster Hunter, on his Nintendo Switch all the time. So yeah, it was pretty fun. And bright, vibrant colors. Like every character had like a different like poppy color hair too.
Yep.
I think what's interesting about Wotakoi in regards to animation is that it really goes out of its way, like Kimi said, to be quirky when it needs to be, and that's what's the best part of it. And I don't think it ever went off model, like, that I remember. I think that the only things that really I could complain about inconsistency-wise is that sometimes it'd be very stiff, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't, like, drastically be off model or be like, oh no, what happened there? Did they freeze some frames? What's going on? It was just that, you know, we'd have long scenes of lip flap or slow pans of the exact same place for over time. But again, we're watching a slice of life, so I'm kind of used to it.
There's like a lot of standing and talking. I mean, and again, as Cass just said, it's a slice of life. So what do? They just go to the bar. They go to a Starbucks, they go to work, and they typically hang out in their apartments. And that's really about it. And that's fine for what it was. It was just like, okay, cool. I'm along for the ride with them.
But guys, the OP.
The OP is a whole entire different beast. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
That fluid animation, though. Jesus.
Yes.
In that opening.
Yes. And the song is so good.
Maybe that's more so why I noticed the animation feeling stiff in the show, because the opening's just so fluid, so fun, so good.
I think if the entire show is edited at the same level as the opening, then it would have been one of the most standout, like, slice of lives I've ever seen, which it definitely still is, but I mean production-wise. Like, damn. That'd be intense.
You know, the thing that actually I just was reminded on while rewatching one of the episodes was, I like it when they play the ending, they lead up the ending into it.
Mm-hmm.
Like they start playing the music and then they show the animation of the ending. I always like that. So like the ending itself too was very catchy.
Yeah, they did do that. And it.
Yep.
I also just really like the ending. It's definitely not as like fancy and flashy as the opening is, but I do still think it really suits the show. And I love the little images we have. Like there's one where they're walking like back from work or something, and it's just really nice and sweet, and kept the good mood rolling for me even after an episode ended.
Yeah, and then it all ends with them passed out on couches or laying on the floor. And I'm like, sleepovers. Guys, this show's promoting hangouts and sleepovers. Just saying.
I love hangouts and sleepovers, but here's the thing, Craig. Most of us live in our house, or our apartment, so we're having a constant sleepover. You ever think about that?
A lifetime sleepover.
Whoa.
Mind blown, right? Also, while we were
Dude.
talking about the opening, Cami, can you tell the story of what you and your boyfriend would do? Because I think it's really cute, and I think that you
Oh,
have to.
God.
I think you need to mention it because it's kind of great.
Okay, so I thankfully was able to rope Get into watching this show with me. We're getting better about like watching a lot more shows together, but sometimes I have to like pull tooth and nail. So he did watch this one with me because I was like, I really, really need this. And we would always sit together and watch the opening, and eventually we just started to try to imitate the dances that the couples do together. and it made me very, very happy. So yeah, there was that. That was good stuff.
Do we have any further comments about the show, production, nitpicks, or should we roll into ratings?
Quickly again, I think it's worth saying that reference game is on point. Not only references, but also how many like actual things they were able to show, like Monster Hunter.
Yep.
Yeah, all of that was super cool. And the soundtrack itself, I don't really remember, but that's okay because the opening and endings are so good.
I think that the only other thing that I wanted to bring up a point to talk about, and I kind of mentioned it earlier on, is that not just the relationship dynamics or friend dynamics were shown great, but also how each of their individual hobbies within the otaku sphere either complemented each other or clashed with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really fun To see, for example, Hanako being really into cosplaying, but her, significant other wasn't, and how that,
Yeah.
brought across, some conflict, or how, Narumi was super into anime and manga, and Hirutaka has a minor interest, and how that led to some smart ass comments, and just how they played off each other in regards to the things that they loved in addition to loving each other. I thought that was pretty neat, and that also applied to the friend group as well.
Absolutely.
That's pretty neat.
100%. Like, it produced some pretty, without going into too much detail, like, it produced one of the funniest bits with Kabakura and Hanako.
Oh my god.
Where he just sits there and he's just like, oh god, my life has changed forevermore because of this exchange with the hobbies that my girlfriend has.
Yeah.
Also Comiket as a whole with these guys is pretty fun.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty then. With that being said, let's roll right into ratings. Oh shit, who passed this show?
Cassie did.
Cammy, was it you? Oh, Cass. Cass, do you want to go last on this one then?
Sure. I actually
Cool.
forgot if I passed this or Cammy did.
Oh, you did, because I had
My
Tada-kun.
brain.
So
That's what it. Jesus.
There we go. Cool beans. Cammy, you're up then.
Okay. Short, sweet, and to the point. Especially again because I really resonate with what Dom said about just wanting, kind of awkward, like otaku romance, fun times. That's exactly what I came to this show for, and it delivered in spades. This show made me so incredibly happy whenever I got to watch it every week. I immediately binged like 20 chapters of the manga, which I also really, really like. Heck yeah. And it also made my top anime of the year on our list, if you will recall back to that episode. So I think it's safe to say that it's a show that I really enjoy. I'm going to give it a very high like it. I do think that there are maybe just a few things that withhold it for me from giving it a full love it, but like I really, really, really enjoy the show, and I highly recommend it to anybody that, has friends or seeks love and likes romance that aligns with your interests, aligns with like your nerdy and hobby interests. So please check it out.
Nice.
Nice.
All right, Dom.
Yeah, I enjoyed this show a lot. It's pretty fun in how it presents all of its characters and its subject matter. There's not a whole lot of like super melodrama or
That's true.
anything like that to really murk things up. It's just very, very wholesome.
Yeah.
And I think anyone kind of in the mood for something like that, and for something that, tries and does a really good job at sort of appealing to the more nerdy aspects that I think a lot of people our age still enjoy and take part in, even at the adult stages of our life. Will really get something out of this show. I give it a like it, so
Right
you
on.
should totally check it out.
Yeah.
Fall Reese's.
All right. I'm up next. I echo a lot of the sentiments that have been said here. This show is fun, it's relatable, it's cute, and it's an easy time to just kind of get in and just watch. Again, a lot of relatability between the characters and seeing the different aspects of nerd culture, whether you're into gaming, anime, cosplaying, you're into like manga, or you're just in like, or if you're on the outskirts of that and you just like looking in at the bubble that is all of nerd culture as the spectrum. I think, again, as Dom said, it's relatable on the fact that like people in their 20s or early 30s can get a lot out of this. It's relatable for all of us personally because we do a lot of this shit and we present a podcast to you guys about nerd culture and anime. So yeah, before I ramble on too much, simple. I like it. It's fun. Definitely check it out. All right, Cass,
Woo!
what do you got?
Okay, so I think that Wotakoi, especially in its genre, is one of those really rare finds in that it's extremely unique in its delivery of what it's talking about and what its characters are trying to do, and just how severely fun it is. I never felt that as a romantic comedy, it fell into a lot of pitfalls that romantic comedies do.
Mhm.
And for that, I think that, especially in its genre, it stands out as one of the best of the best. And I really, really hope that people give it a look-see. I think that my biggest issue with it, and I don't know if it's entirely fair, but my biggest issue with it is that it's not a complete show. And I felt a little bit, I don't know. I think I just got way too invested into some of the characters that were introduced at the end that
Okay.
I didn't leave on the most happy note. I was like, oh
Mhm.
man, I want more, which is both to the show's detriment and also to its, I guess, benefit. There we go. Craig, please talk for me. I'm having a hard time today.
It's okay.
I'm
It's
having
okay.
a
You
really
got
hard
this.
time.
Do you feel as though you want a closure on not only the main characters but the supporting cast as well?
Maybe not closure, but a continuation. If I could get a season 2 or a season 3 of Wotakoi, I think it would be a super easy. Love it because
Mhm.
I went and rewatched this show immediately with another couple. And I think that that's one thing that makes this shine really brightly, but it's still not one of the most standout anime that I've seen. So therefore, I'm also going to give it a super high like it. But I think it has a lot of potential and you should definitely watch it.
All right. And moving right along, we are going to tackle review number 2. Dom has left the building because Dom has had enough of the cute couples this evening. But we can't get enough, guys. Review number 2 on the docket is Tada-kun wa Koi wo Shinai, or otherwise known in English as Tada Never Falls in Love. Studio is Studio Doga Kobo. Other shows by them, you would know them from Plastic Memories and Ichi no Med ga, otherwise, ga uza sugiru, exclamation point, otherwise known as Uzume.
We're going to get real intimate with that one.
I'm going to throw this in there. They also worked on New Game and its sequel, New Game Plus. Or New Game, exclamation point.
Another important one, I think, to throw in there, because we could bring it up as slight discussion later, is also Gekkan Shoujo Nozaki-kun.
For sure.
Yeah.
Cammy, I am proud of you because that's in my production notes.
I'm trying to live up to your legacy.
I would like to now introduce you to the newly renovated
Oh!
Craig and Cammy
Oh!
Credits
Oh
Corner.
my.
Bless.
Rad. Synopsis goes as such. Love has never really been a concern for Mitsuyoshi Tada. And as the aspiring photographer enters his second year of high school, it truthfully couldn't be further from his mind. However, things just may change after he meets a bright and bubbly foreigner named Teresa Wagner, while he was taking pictures of a cherry blossom tree. Nevertheless, after she asks him to photograph her, the two soon separate, only to meet each other again twice more that same day. Finding Teresa just as she's caught in a sudden downpour, Tada invites her to his family's coffee shop to dry off. There, she explains that she was separated from her traveling companion, a no-nonsense redhead named Alexandra, Alec Marguerite. While Alec reunites with Teresa shortly after, they say their goodbyes, expecting to part ways for good. But the two unexpectedly show up as transfer students in his class. Dun dun dun! The next day. Teresa and Alec quickly get used to their lives at Koi no Hoshi High School. God, I actually did not know what the name of the school was. That's interesting. And decide to join Tada in the photography club, along with his narcissistic friend Kaoru Ijuin, the idol-obsessed Hajime Sugimoto, serious class rep Hinako Hasegawa, and the dog-like Kentaro Yamashita. While these two peculiar additions to his equally eccentric group of friends, Tada's second year of high school is about to get even livelier, and he might need to start rethinking his approach to love.
Dang, what a mouthful. Good job, Craig.
Yeah, I flubbed a little bit there, but I think I nailed the landing.
You did. No, and that's actually a lot longer of a synopsis than I recall back during Impressions, because I've listened to that episode again, and it was just Teresa shows up at his coffee shop. Like,
Hey, mysterious girl, what's up?
yeah. I think it's good that they incorporate in that synopsis the other characters, because I do think that something that is pertinent to the story, at least initially, and something that drew me, and I know a friend of ours, Pete, into this show, is that it presented potentially having a show with a big cast and multiple, like, shippable couples.
Yep.
I don't think that they stuck the landing on that, but, you know, It was a hope. Initially.
Yeah, I guess kind of like that's like starting in like our surface level thoughts of the show and like the story. I mean, yeah, like it's kind of interesting when you like put this up against like the other show, and we shouldn't really compare apples and oranges, but like with Wotakoi, you had couples and their dynamics. With this show, you had a eccentric cast, but the execution and handling of the writing with these other characters outside of Tada and Teresa is kind of like, they're okay, I guess. They have quirks, that's it.
Yeah, I feel like the show presented a lot of interesting things that could work in a romance. I really like the foreigner aspect a whole lot. And the air of mystery a bit, even about like Teresa's backstory. You know that she's a foreigner. And they don't
From
necessarily,
Larsenburg.
Which to me feels completely based off of Luxembourg, but who knows? So like the foreigner aspect was really cool. The colorful cast aspect idea was really cool. But unfortunately, I just feel like the execution of the narrative, for many reasons, which I'm sure we will get into, Cassie can definitely help me out here, I think just didn't stick. Just didn't stick. So I'm going to give the floor to Cassie now to continue.
Cass, your hot takes. You just finished the show this week.
I finished, technically, the last episode yesterday.
Ooh.
Mostly, but here's the thing, like, I started it way in advance. I've been trying to get ahead of our with our anime, especially with the backlog that we have. We're still trying to find our footing and how we present our reviews to everybody, and one of them is learning how to get ahead. And so I started watching Tada-kun literally, I think about a month or so ago. I talked to Craig about I'd watched the first episode. And it just took me until this week to even care to get back to it. However, I do want to give credit where credit is due, and also maybe say it's not entirely fair to compare it to Wotakoi.
Oh, completely.
No.
Yeah.
Because
apples and oranges.
Well, the reason why is because Wotakoi is based off a manga. The production staff and everybody involved went in with at least a basic roadmap of where to go. Now, execution is an entirely different beast to tackle. I mean, Wotakoi had its general script there, but how they executed it, they had to do well on their own. This show is an anime original, which is super ambitious to begin with, and anime originals will always have a will it flop or will it be great, and we don't know because there's no source material for us to frantically check and hope for the best. And for that, I want to give it kudos because a lot of animation companies don't do original stuff. It just doesn't happen.
Yep.
And therefore, when an original anime comes out, there's this like really big excitement that I have. I know the most recent one for me being Place Further Than the Universe, which has a manga now, but it was coming out at the same time that the anime was. So it was also an original, which is really cool. So originals can either do really well or they can do really bad. And I think that the staff, I don't know what happened with their writing staff. Maybe Craig can shed some light later on if there were multiple writers or if maybe the only main writer got really stressed. But I could almost feel where the writer threw his and or her hands up in the air and said, I don't know what to do anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because there's all of these, like, really interesting, like, little pieces at the beginning that are presented. Multiple different, even shippable couples, as Kimi said, were presented and put in front of your face, and they almost all get no resolution.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really frustrating with the story. I'm not going to say who or what or why, because, again, those are spoilers. But I feel for a lot of the show, the intrigue with what little is presented is never resolved, and that's not good. It's no bueno.
Beautifully said.
Yeah.
I golf clap.
Yay. Yeah, I just, like, I don't remember how I necessarily got into this, but I was just, like, watching it on the high dive, and I guess it kind of helped that it had a dub at the time, and I watched all of it, and I was like, oh, I recognize these guys, and then I watched it, I'm like, yeah, I mean, it's a slice of life, it's set in high school, I guess, but it kind of has this bit where it handles some things well, but it kind of fumbles others, and, like, again, as I said, the characters kind of have their one-off quirks, but they don't really have, like, arcs, kind of, if that makes sense, or they don't have a resolution to their characters. It's just, well, if there's a season 2, maybe we'll expound upon that. But again, anime original, is it going to get a season 2? I guess it depends on sales in Japan.
I don't think so. It had way too much of an end resolution for it to have a season 2.
Yeah, and I don't, honestly, like Cassie was saying, envisioning the writers, I don't think the writers care enough about the side characters to pursue more.
True enough.
We could be wrong, but, like, that's where, like, they seem to just drop the ball entirely, and I could almost, sitting in my chair, feel how little they actually cared about resolving any of this crap.
Yeah. Yeah.
From my point of view, anyway. Maybe they loved the shit out of the show and they just didn't have time, but...
Ooh, this is a story element. How did the comedy feel to you guys? Because I think most of the time it didn't land, and that was pretty disappointing for me.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan either.
Yeah.
I don't remember there being comedy.
There was plenty.
They tried.
Mostly, let me try and refresh your memory, Craig. Pin Senpai literally doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time, to the detriment of
Hinako.
Yeah, basically. Another one that I really was kind of annoyed with was the constant Kappa joke.
Oh yeah, that wasn't funny. Yeah.
No, it was just stupid and gave basically Mamoru Miyano another reason to yell about kappas, and it...
Yeah, Ijuin yelling a lot. I think there was one moment in the show that made me laugh. One. And it was something that had to do with, like, a disguise, like, wearing this ridiculous, like, punk skinny jean disguise. And then that disguise didn't work, so they made this other character wear it. And it, A, looked ridiculous and did not fit. And I just remember thinking that was really funny because they were just like, oh no, I'm stuck here. Why do I have to do this? This sucks. But that's, like, one moment. And the show tried so many other things. The whole Rainbow Shogun bit, like, I see what it was trying to do, and it was kind of cute, but it didn't land, and they kept bringing it up, like, more than I wanted when it didn't work.
Rainbow Shogun! Which is, like, I get it, because that's Teresa's, like, whole beginning arc. She's like, I want to go to Japan because I'm from Larsenburg and I saw this foreign film that has Rainbow Shogun and this is Japan and I'm infatuated with the ideal image of Japan. And she's a fish out of water sort of situation. And she's like, oh, this is so awesome. I'm awestruck at all, like, your, like, culture, your tendencies, what you do, the daily lives of all these characters and my classmates. But fucking Rainbow Shogun. And she's a fangirl for him. But at the same time, I was just like, yeah, they kind of did drive that into the ground.
Yeah. It's a nice little thing because it's funny to think, because also I always got the feeling it was just some random, like, show from the 60s or 70s that they played on, like, their version of, like, TV Land or something, you know?
Yeah.
So it'd be like us being like, oh, you love that show, like I Dream of Jeannie or Bewitched or whatever. So, like, I thought that was cute. And I like that liar, the color of the true color of a rainbow is rainbow. Like, that was funny, but like, you know.
But when it kept showing up over and over again, it's like, okay, it was funny the first time, you can stop.
Exactly.
You can stop.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think they put it there because they were like, oh guys, don't forget that she likes this character. Don't forget don't forget, because we got to have her go to a show later. And you got to remember why she wants to go there.
Yeah.
Everything is rainbow.
Yeah.
And it felt like that was like the only thing that they could hammer in that was part of her personality, because otherwise she kind of lacks one until much later on.
Yeah.
And even then, I think out of the entire cast, as little as the side characters are built up, she's very lacking in the character department.
Yeah, she's cheerful, she cute, but like,
what are you other than a foreigner who likes Rainbow Shogun?
Yeah.
That's basically it.
I think I enjoyed her, but that was also mostly due to, I love her character design, which we'll get into later, but like, she was fun to look at. She was nice, and then occasionally, like, out of basically the hinting of romance, which I think this show, again, doesn't do a super good job of, but I enjoyed that for the most part in the beginning, where it's this terrible, like, drip drop, like, of a faucet pacing of romance. She is one of the first to indicate that she has feelings, so I think I, like, got, you know, I would watch that, and so I was like, okay, this is cool. But yeah, we can actually probably just roam on into characters unless we want to tackle backstory again.
Basically, Cassie, do you have anything else to say on the story before we roll into characters?
I do, because I tiptoed around it, and I will probably talk about it more if we have time and spoilers, but the problem with the show is, like Cami mentioned, they drip feed you a lot of information and then do a lot of really random spoon feeding of fluff in the middle that doesn't really amount to anything, and then try and make you care at the end.
Yeah.
And it didn't work for me.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only other thing that I can mention, is that it went at like a snail's pace, and then in the last, like, I think it's
3 episodes.
Last 3 episodes, it suddenly hit the accelerator or the speed button or whatever the frack you want to call it, and suddenly we were going at 1,000,000 miles an hour, and I was not used to it, and it felt like whiplash.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's all.
All right. Characters. Who is your favorite character in this show?
I like Charles a lot.
You like Charles? Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, because, like, I feel like he's the only person who, like, came in and I was like, oh, he's a genuinely good guy. And he just does what he does, and then he has to make a hard decision in the end for anybody to get any fucking resolve. So
that's very true.
Yeah.
That's very true. He, like, and in the realm of tropes, which this show does unfortunately try to rely on, and they don't usually work. In the realm of tropes, like, usually his character would be placed as being kind of a jerk, and he's not. He's just a good guy.
That's what I liked. He was a genuinely good guy who felt like a genuine good guy, and the reason that he has feelings for the character that he has feelings for, to me, felt the most justified out of the entire cast.
Mm-hmm.
Because he is given a backstory, and also, again, he's the only one who makes a fucking decision to actually give any resolve for other characters.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's why I like Charles. Honestly, he's still not a perfect character. I would even argue a good character, but he's the one I liked the most.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, I think I have a hard time necessarily picking a favorite because they're all just kind of Yeah, they're all just kind of But I do want to shout out, especially because I wasn't necessarily anticipating this in the beginning, but Ijuin, Tada's best friend, I think had some really good moments about halfway through the show and at the end. Where, you know, for his overbearing and oftentimes really annoying personality, you see that there is more to them. He's very observant to a lot of people around him, especially his best friend, and a lot of the ways that he acts and what he says are in motivation to try and support his best friend. And yeah, boy goes to some lengths, and the moments where he was shown to be serious too, I really liked. So Yeah, I gotta shout out Ijuin. He's a good boy. I'd want a friend like him.
100%. That's why I liked him, despite him being narcissistic and annoying.
Yeah.
I actually, fun fact about that, like, I watched the show majority in dub, and then I switched it to sub, and as soon as I heard Mamoru Miyano and Zombieland, Zombieland Saga was airing when I watched the show, I was like, holy shit, it's more Mamoru Miyano. He's yelling, just like in Zombieland Saga. It fits! This boy is just the eccentric, like, guy who yells everything. I love it. It's excellent casting. But I gotta give shout-outs to my boy, Nyanko Big.
Nyanko Big!
Nyanko Big.
So,
Nyanko Big.
yeah, excuse my earlier statement. Nyanko Big is the best character.
Yeah.
That's just...
It's just like... He's a cute cat, and without going into too much about it, he literally has an episode dedicated to his internal monologue as he's like the narrator, or rather, he's not a narrator, but he's just like a third party, just kind of like commentating on everyone's actions about the day. And I'm like, that's so cute. I love it.
And in that way, Nyanko Big is both the best and the worst thing about the show, because he's the best thing about this show that I didn't like very much, but he's also the pure force of evil that made Cammy pass the show.
Thanks for throwing my dirty laundry out there. Yes, it's very true.
You're welcome.
Yeah, this show pins episode 3, and the first 2, I was like, yeah, I'm not really feeling it. I think I'm gonna fail it. And then episode 3 comes out, and it's great because it's Nyanko Big. He does narrate that episode specifically.
Yep.
And he manages to put a good spin and frame on, like, the entire rest of the cast and the plot, and made me, like, actually think that this show could go somewhere. So yeah, that would indeed be why I passed it, because episode 3, and to me still is probably the best episode of the series.
Agreed.
100%.
Yep.
All right. Production.
This is the best part of the show.
Yeah, I think this show's really pretty, honestly.
It is.
It is very pretty. It's very clean. Those character designs are cute, and again, they pop. Especially Teresia's, like, kind of blonde hair and, like, bluish green eyes.
Yeah.
They pop.
Her cute little ponytail.
I was going to say, I love how it moves. I love how her ponytail moves. Because there was this moment when we were at work earlier this week, and I've been trying to put my hair in a ponytail occasionally, and Craig was like, are you, like, swaying your head or something? And I was like, no, that's how a ponytail moves. It sways as you walk.
It was, like, making this extreme motions back and forth and back and forth. I'm like, huh. That's interesting. It's got floof to it. And I was at her cast, like, bobbing her head back and forth, and I didn't. Just like, huh, all right,
no,
cool.
That's how a ponytail moves, and they cared to animate it. Thanks for bringing that up, Cammy.
Oh, yeah, totally. I mean, I think it's very iconic. One of the first scenes in the show where Tada is taking photos of cherry blossoms, and then this girl just, like, runs up into his lens. And then the cherry blossoms blow in the wind, and, like, her hair blows in the wind, and she smiles. Like, that's still a great scene. I like it. It's beautiful. Yeah. Like, it shows everything that I really like about the production. And again, though, it's kind of like, what is this? There's a My Anime List review of this show somewhere that I'll have to find. But someone said something about, like, it's kind of like, this show's kind of like fake flowers. Like, you look at them from a distance, and it's really pretty, but the longer you stare at it, you kind of see the mediocrity.
Oh no!
And I think on a story point that is true, but production was very solid. So good job on them. Doga Kobo did a good job.
They do a really good job of taking something that may not be the best and making it really pretty, which we'll talk about at another time, probably in the near future. But they've also done some really good stuff as well. But I just wanted to give that shout out that we're going to be reviewing another of their anime in a very, very short time that also is not very great in my opinion from what I've seen so far of it, but it has a nice polish. Mm-hmm. Good job.
All right. Round 2 for Craig's Credit Corner.
Yes.
Or rather, Craig / Cammy's Credit Corner, because Cammy's got this. She probably knows some of this. The director of the show is Mitsue Yamazaki, aka the director of Monthly Girls Nozaki-kun.
Oh, shit. Yeah. I didn't realize it was actually, like, most of the staff.
Yeah, and again, the writer, Yoshiko Nakamura, also was a head writer for Nozaki-kun.
You see, now I'm convinced that they just didn't care, because the comedy in that show always hit. And I know that
Yeah.
they were basing it off a manga, and they had the jokes written for them ahead of time, basically, but
Yeah.
in that regard, at least. But there's still an element of pizzazz with actually adapting it and making it hit, you know? It's like me watching a comedy special and then me trying to perform the joke. If I don't do it accurately, it's not going to be funny. So,
yeah.
I don't know what happened here. They had all of the right staff. I don't know.
Maybe it really is just needing a strong source, like in this case. Maybe they're not adaptable to starting from the ground up. Like, who knows?
You want to know something that's really weird?
Hmm?
That, like, upon rewatching some of these episodes and, like, on a production standpoint, I thought the music was very okay. The composition for the music was helmed by Yukari Hashimoto, which did the music for Penguin Drum, and March Comes In Like a Lion.
Oh.
Yeah, those soundtracks I felt were a lot stronger. But then again, those ones... Here's the thing. March Comes In Like a Lion and Penguin Drum are dramas.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to have some damn good music to accompany your drama, or a piece of the puzzle is missing. This is a romantic comedy.
But here's also another thing. Let me counterpoint that. She did the score for Toradora.
Again, though,
Also a
there's
drama.
there's drama in Toradora.
True. Okay, cool.
This is a romantic comedy that is mostly comedy, and I
Yeah.
don't think you need to have the most fantastic composition for that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
true.
think I remember like one piece of piano score that I liked that was just nice. I think it played in that cherry blossom scene. Like, you know, again, it did its job. It wasn't necessarily standout. I just had this come back in my mind though. You guys, every fucking time they showed coffee, like these fancy, super cute ass coffee drinks. Oh, I wanted one
Mhm.
You
so
wanted coffee.
bad.
You wanted coffee
yeah.
art.
Especially,
Did you want coffee art?
I wanted the coffee, and I especially wanted it after they introduced the little things that they would put in the coffee and stir around,
Yes,
like
the
chocolate
Yeah,
candy.
coffee art.
sticks. Ah!
Well, not coffee art.
Oh,
No,
the
like
chocolate.
the chocolate sticks.
Yeah.
They put them in and they would melt, and like even when for some reason, I'm not going to say why, I almost did a huge spoiler. Bad, Cassie.
Ooh.
For some reason, there are scenes of Larsenberg later in the show.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And they bring up the fucking chocolate sticks again, and I was like, I want to try one.
And then even like the coffee cups were like so intricate and cute. Like everybody chose different
Mhm.
pretty ones. Like all of the coffee shop aesthetic I fell into a lot in this show.
Yeah. It seemed very homey.
Also, you reminded me, Cammie,
Mhm.
one thing that I brought up to Dominic, because they asked me when I finished the show, like, what did you think? Like, overall, because I'd been bitching about it
Right.
for the last week about how bored I was. And I was like, it's okay, I'm just really bored. I did say that I liked that a lot of the show takes place in the coffee shop.
Yeah.
And I thought that that was really neat because there's just so much stuff that happens that's so intricately placed. Not just the cups or the fact that the family works there, but like the photos that are showing family
Mhm.
history, or this old couple that is literally there the entire time and you wouldn't give two thoughts to most of the time, but by the end of the show was one of the few, if only, points that actually gave me a gut punch. Was a conversation that this couple had, and the only reason I gave a shit is because they were always there, and I was like, oh, it's that couple. I'm invested without knowing I'm being invested.
Yeah, there were some, like those little moments that were very few and far between. I just like to think that there was some PA working for them and was like, what if we just write in this here? What if I scribble this into the script? And then they were like, sure. And it's like, that's a genius in the making. Young genius coming out.
Well, yeah, because I thought about it in post, like as I was just thinking about this old couple, and it actually directly reflects the inner turmoil that Tada is feeling at the time.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Delicious.
That's some delicious food right there.
That's a spicy meatball.
So yeah, there are some story elements that I like, and they are reflected in the production, which is the best part of the show. What do you know?
I also wanted to know, Cassie, if you wanted to mention the opening, because you talked to me about that.
Speaking of which, because we were talking about music earlier and about how it doesn't stand out very much, I love this opening. It's a
fun.
bop to me. It also reminds me a bit of the Nozaki-kun opening, because of like the energy, and I don't even know if it's the same band.
It is the same music artist. It's the exact same guy.
I loved that opening, and I still love that opening, and I still play that opening. And when we were on the train going home one day, when I was watching Tada-kun on my phone, I turned to Dominic and I was like, "Yeah, this song's a bop."
Yeah, a lot of the scene selection in the opening, even kind of now that you bring that up, Cami, same artist, a lot of it kind of reflects Nozaki-kun's, because in Nozaki-kun, they go blasting through like a train, like what seems like an outer space sequence, and they're flying through the air and everything bright sparkles and shiny, and I'm like, damn, that's pretty good.
Yeah, and like I already mentioned previously that I trudged through this show. I never skipped the opening.
There you go. That's good to hear.
But did you skip the ending? Because I don't remember the ending at all.
I did skip the ending. Mostly due to time, though.
Okay.
But at the beginning, I watched the ending every time, because sometimes they'd have after credit scenes.
Yep. Gotta love that.
Which is frustrating, but also, I don't know. I didn't hate the ending. It just was. It was okay.
I like the ending a lot. Yeah.
Well, there you go. Let Cami take the pedestal now. I'm going to drop off from the OP and let you talk about the ED.
Yeah, I like the ED, or I like the OP too. I liked that the ED was melancholic, and it's through Teresa's perspective. I believe it's her Seiyu singing it. Which is always really sweet. There was a nice like sense of like distance in there. There was some ocean metaphors, so like the visuals tied it together nicely. And then because I like the ED, there's a thing that we will talk about later. But they switched. They played the ED in an episode during an emotional point, and they switched the vocalist to having another character sing it, and I hurt a lot. Like, like I was like, I don't know where this investment just came from, but I'm being punched in the chest right now due to the usage of the ED. So, credit there. Good job, show.
For a show that I have been dogging on for the most part of the second part of this episode, there were some times where this show had these little... it's like I was like being frustrated in a river during the gold rush, and then I got that one speck of gold, and I was like, this is nice. But then I remember that I had been standing out in the heat for 5 days, and I still wasn't very happy, but I got my little speck of gold, so I can appreciate what I was able to get. You know what I mean?
You give the most beautiful metaphors, I swear.
I do my best.
Yeah. And then also, Craig, you can definitely weigh in on the dub, because I watched this subbed. I thought everybody did a good job. Also, props to, I'd have to look up the names, but Pin Senpai's voice actor had to leave around the last third of the show due to health problems, and the person who picked up for him did a really good job. It was very seamless.
I didn't even notice. Granted, I'm not a native Japanese speaker, but...
I didn't notice. I just saw Crunchyroll articles.
No. I'm saying like that shows that they did a good job.
Oh,
because
gotcha.
I didn't notice watching. I wasn't like, maybe I should go look up the voice actor and see if it changed. Like they did a really good job, I think.
Nice.
Even not being native Japanese, I think that they did a good job.
So basically, when it comes to the dub, this was a Sentai dub. So like, I was kind of hesitant on this one, and just for full transparency, I just recently finished Release of Spice dub as well, and both shows actually are good in my opinion. I think they're learning. I think they're getting better.
I actually liked a couple of Sentai dubs, so
good on them.
Good on them.
So basically, and I find that interesting too, because they're helmed in Texas, which is where Funimation is, and Tada is voiced by Josh Greel, And the voice actress for Teresa is Sarah Weidenheft, which is Toru's voice actress from Dragon Maid. Also, real quick here, just want to give a shout outs to a acquaintance of mine, Howard Wang, who has been making it into the dub scene recently. He is, what is his name? It's Kentaro, who basically, his whole thing is, he's essentially responds to commands like a dog.
Oh, he's Dog Boy. Okay.
Yeah, he's called Yamaranian, essentially, in English. And then, interestingly enough, I know that Cass kept referring to Hajime Sugimoto as Pin-chan. In English, they call him Alpha.
What?
They just call him Alpha.
What?
I don't know if Pin means, like, alpha male or something, but, like, I guess it makes sense for lip flap purposes, Alpha Pin-chan. So, I mean...
Or Pin-san, I might have been misquoting honorifics, but whatever, I get where you're going.
Yeah, so basically, it was a pretty solid thing all around. So, yeah.
Right.
I think that the only thing I can say in regard to voice acting is I do love Mamoru Miyano, but I just couldn't with him in this one. I don't know what it was, but every time that character started to talk, even when there were moments I was liking them in the moment, I just wanted them to shut up.
I think part of it might have to do with pitch. I feel like he was definitely like pretty high pitched in this one, which made him like extra shrill
at his noble tone.
Well, there wasn't just, he also did this, like, he did this voice tick where he would be like, ba-ba-boo,
Mitsuyoshi! Yeah.
Yeah, and it just, I hated it. I hated it so much. I just wanted him to stop, and he did it with at the almost end of every fucking sentence.
Yeah.
I think the English voice for Eugene did the exact same thing, where he was just like, he's like, oh, hello! And I'm like, okay, he's eccentric, essentially. Again, going back to the description, eccentric cast. But gotta give shout-outs to Nyako Big's internal voice in his head, Hovan Jackson. Basically, he acts... Oh god, I don't know how to describe it. If you can find clips online, just... He acts so extra, and he's like, I ain't playing. What you talking about? This is my boy, Mitsuyoshi Tada. And I'm like, oh my god. Can we have more narration by this guy, please?
He sounds fun. I have another production thing, mostly because I've been watching this GIF that Kimi sent is just looping on repeat. Something that also needs to be mentioned, and I don't know if there was a deal with a brand or not, but every time a camera showed up in this show, it looked really good. It's kind of like in K-On! Whenever they showed a guitar. Like, they went into very intimate details of showing the brands, and if they were looking through a lens, like, how it would actually look through if you were looking through it. Oh, it was ridiculous how much detail was put into the cameras in the show, and that's a good thing. I thought it was neat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that.
For a show that's all about, like, a guy in the photography club, and... As Cass, you mentioned before we sat down to record, you wanted to like have a short spoiler room, so I have a question related to the camera theming with Tada in that section. But do we have anything more to talk about, nitpicks about the show before we roll into ratings?
Let's rate this baby.
Alright, so it is Kimi that goes last on this one. Cass, you want to go first, or should I?
Let's make you go first.
Okay, cool. So basically, I didn't really know what to expect with the show. I just heard that it had a fat cat, and Kimi said it's very okay, but you know, I'm not gonna lie when I say the fact that it was dubbed made this a little bit easier for me, because I can kind of just not necessarily completely tune out of the experience, but kind of like just accept it as it is, while like not having to like multitask audio and video channels and just kind of be more engrossed in the experience. Mm-hmm. Again, Sentai's improving on their dub qualities. I really like it. And on that, I kind of been curious what Cass's favorite Sentai dubs are. I'll ask her later. But on the whole, I think the show was fine. It's the very definition of okay. A lot of plot points just kind of meander. It kind of hits the acceleration button in the last third of the show, last fourth, and I was kind of put by that. I kind of saw it coming. It was kind of predictable in some regards. And then while there is some resolution, it's not necessarily the most fleshed out resolution. I say check the show out if you... Oh shit, I guess if you make it past 4 episodes, because episode 3 is the best episode, and if you can't stand... Or if you're not the biggest fan of the pacing of the first 4 episodes, then, just listen to this review, and succinctly, it's fine. It's cute, but it's fine. There are better romantic comedies out there.
Mm-hmm. Like Wotakoi.
Yes, like Wotakoi. Cass.
Okay. So, I had a complicated relationship with Tada-kun. I started it months ago, but was not able to finish because I was just so bored out of my mind. And that will vary from person to person when it comes to an initial viewing, because I was judging an entire show off the first 2 episodes, and that's not fair. Also, judging it off the first 3 episodes is dangerous. So, I would say that you should definitely check the show out. I think that if you are looking for something that just looks really nice and you're just trying to get your romantic scratch itched, I guess, or itch scratched, it's not a horrible choice. But I think that you should check out the characters and see if there's something that you can be invested in. Unfortunately for me, nobody really clicked with me. And even the characters that did, being Charles and to an extent Alec, none of them really were something that were stand out. And I think that for you, if you can click with anybody, you'll probably have a fun ride, especially if you click with the first main 2, being Tada and Teresa, respectively. There was a time when I was an anime fan, when I was much younger, where if it looked like anime and it was animated well, I was in love with it. It didn't have to have the most succinct story or succinct characters. And if you fall into that kind of category, I would say to give the show a watch, just because it's a visual orgasm, basically. It's one of the best shows, production-wise, that I've seen outside of maybe March Comes in Like a Lion in a while.
Huh.
So I would definitely give it a look-see, I suppose. But for me, I wish I hadn't watched all of it. But I can say that it does have some redeeming qualities. So if those redeeming qualities are enough for you to marry it, then put a ring on it, but...
Put a ring on it.
Damn.
Which I would say to half the people in this cast, I guess, but... So, in addition to that, I do have a recommendation that basically proves that you don't necessarily have to have all the strings tied up to enjoy, and that would be Kimi ni Todoke. I think that the characters actually seem interesting and definitely outside of the box. There's a lot of characters in this show, Kimi ni Todoke, also known from Me to You, I suppose, in English, that are very outside the mold of what you would expect in a romance or a romantic comedy. It's comedy when it does have its hits, and it also focuses not only just on the romance between the characters, but also the interpersonal friendships. And I think that makes it stand out as one of the better romance shows that I've ever seen. So definitely give that a watch.
Nice.
Now, Cammy.
Okay. So, yeah, short, sweet, and to the point. Looking back on it now, if I'd seen episode 4, I probably wouldn't have passed this show. This show, similarly to Suki ga Kirei, delivered to me a pretty good, a glimmer of hope in the 3rd episode, and then that led me to pass the show. Very quickly after that, I was like, yeah, this is okay. This is fine. But I always, when I was watching it, had this thought in the back of my head that's like, you could be better. Why aren't you better? Why can't you be better?
Why can't you be better?
Why can't you be like your cousin Gerald? Jesus. Your cousin Kimi. Why can't you be like your cousin Wotakoi?
Yeah,
Oh no.
exactly. Yeah, because these shows also aired the same season. So it's fine. I think that the middle was the hardest part for me to get through. I'm not gonna lie, near the last 3 episodes, I got pretty decently invested. I think that was also spurned on by the fact that I was watching it with my dear friend Teresa, a friend of ours on the podcast, and we ended up watching the last couple episodes together, and it was really fun and memorable. And you know how your energy just perks up when you watch something with somebody, so we were squealing by the end. We were happy. So yeah, I'm gonna give the show a check it. Like, it's, you want your romance and you want something pretty to look at. That's what this show gives. That was what I liked about the show, but it risks mediocrity a lot. Like we said, I like that fake flower metaphor that someone on my anime list came with, because I think it fits very well.
I think it's good. I think that's one of the best metaphors I've ever heard in my life. I hope to one day come up with one as good.
Your Gold Rush
There
one
you
was
go.
right up there. Right up there.
There you go. Well, alrighty then. With that being said, for those who want to stick around for a small spoiler room as we ask the greater questions of the show and kind of like delve into some nitpicks about the ending or what have you, you can follow along with us. For everyone else, peace out, y'all. Alright, Cass, the floor is yours. I just had one question, but you can get your grievances out of the way.
I mean, I only have a couple things to talk about, really,
Okay.
but I wanted to ask how you guys felt about the ending, for one, because I thought that it was really frustrating for me. I guess also because I just wanted resolve for anybody, and I felt that the entirety of Teresa's and Tada's development together really came in the last few episodes, so it was very hard for me to get invested. I also hated this, oh, I'm going to chase you back here, but I'm going to chase you back here, and I don't know, it just
Yeah.
seemed very cheesy, and for me, who's somebody who typically really loves cheese, I felt like this one had been on the counter for too long.
I like that one too.
Wow, again with these analogies.
I'm doing the best I can.
Yeah, I agree, because it just came out of nowhere. Like, even when you were bringing up examples to me, like, again, A Memory of a Goldfish here, so when you brought up stuff, you're like, oh, no, this happened. I was like, oh, right. Yeah, when they went to go see Rainbow Shogun in real life, it's like, that seemed more like a hangout, but for her, it was a day, and then he's like, oh shit, she's gone. I must profess how I feel to her. And that's when the grandpa comes in and is like, I got the money for you because I have a friend over there, and your boy, Ijuin, is like, hey, I got you, dog. And I'm like, that's cool, but
Convenient.
very convenient, and also, Tada, what? Okay, I guess.
I loved it. I'm not gonna lie. That entire episode
I
where
know.
Tada was miserable, I really liked it a lot.
No, I liked I'm talking about the very ending, the last bit where she just shows up
Oh.
again. I will
That
say,
was-
Yeah.
I,
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
I will say that I loved the bit where, like the fact that she shows up in a camera lens at the end, just like she did in the beginning, was neat.
Mm-hmm.
Full circle.
And also that, she gave him the, umbrella from the rain this time, and blah, blah, blah. Like, there's a lot of really, like, nice things that happen, but I'm talking about the very, very, very end.
Yeah.
The
I
fact
got
that
you.
she just came to Japan, I guess. I mean,
Yeah.
I honestly probably would have felt better about the show if they didn't get together.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I
Uh.
don't agree, but I can totally respect that.
I guess it's just because, like, he came all the way there
Mhm.
only to be miserable, but then they had their thing where she said, I did love you and I won't forget that. And then he's like, I loved you and I won't forget that. And then he went home,
Right.
and then it's like, cuts to her there, because why not? I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's more like they framed it in such a way that it's just like, okay, her and Alec are doing a foreign exchange program to like kind of get out of the country and like experience culture, and she had like the whole thing with Charles, withstanding. They called that off. So what did her folks say? Go, daughter, you can go fulfill your dream. Love is fleeting. You must go back to Japan. I guess? I mean, it
Yeah.
just seemed kind of like literally last frame. she shows up.
It just didn't seem realistic.
I didn't like how long to, like, the way they executed it pissed me off. I was really frustrated that they basically, for the longest time, were like, we're not gonna tell you if they get back together. And then you, like, see the end credits, and Teresa and I are like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, nothing's gonna happen. And then she shows up, and I do think it's ham-fisted. I'm just happy they kissed. I like it when I get a kiss in a romance show. That was the only reason I really cared.
I mean, that's fair. I think for me, I liked that, and maybe I'm just, I don't know, maybe I'm just masochistic, or I just wanted anything in the show to stand out.
Yeah.
Because it just, like, seemed like the most cheesy way, like, predictable way they could have ended it.
Yeah.
And I loved the interaction that Tada and her had. I loved that she was like, you know, I pulled a you and I hid these feelings inside me, and it's so unfair that you ripped them off, and now I have to, like, confront them. But I'm happy that you did.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll always remember what you did for me. And he was like, and I'll always remember, like, it was this beautiful, bittersweet moment of, we can't be together, but God, I'm so glad that I loved you.
Yeah.
And I felt that. It was great. And it was just like, and especially with Tada, like, seeing him miserable and crying and going to great lengths to just get to her was wonderful, especially since his character had been, you know, painted as then, and to be somebody who doesn't confront his feelings. But I just felt that it was better when they were like, yes, we can't do this, but God, do I want to, and I'm so happy that I had the experience. Oh, by the way, JK, this doesn't mean anything, because we can be together, it's fine.
Yeah, I think that's totally warranted. I don't think that I was super heavily upset by it, but I can definitely see also preferring, like, that option. Because I agree, that would have made it more standout, that would have given it a lot more weight. But, and again, it just kind of falls for some tropes by the end. And again, it's all because of your boy, Charles. Like, he's literally the thing that made it work, because he called it off.
Yeah, it doesn't say that she called it off. He did. And I feel like, honestly, I would have even been okay with that if it showed a scene with Teresa and Charles. Even one. It could have been a few seconds long of him saying, listen, I understand. And they kind of did this. Like, when he was the one, that's the thing. He led the whole thing. Go talk to him. Alec, back off. Listen, we need to give them space to talk.
Mm-hmm.
Because she wasn't originally going to. But the thing is, like, even if they had one scene with with Charles and Teresa, where he said, I love you, but I need to call this off because I know you don't love me. I'm going to make some arrangements so that you can go back to Japan.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I needed. Because her showing up doesn't make any goddamn sense. How did she do that? How did she abandon all of her responsibilities?
Yeah, definitely.
It also gave me I also read it as, well, he went back to Japan and time has passed now, and okay, I guess she's there. And
then even the time skip is like a cheesy thing that happens too often, and it's like, ugh.
Also, I kind of appreciated him getting mad at her for just disappearing when they had that, like, scene where he talked to his best friend Ijuin, or having pronounce it, and he's just like, ever since she's left, I've just been so angry. Like, like, that felt real, and I think that's maybe why, like, Tada felt more like a human being in the last few episodes.
Oh, totally, completely. Yeah, no, because he's just, especially in the first couple episodes, he's so milquetoast and, like, boring, and I didn't care about him at all.
So I'm right there with you. I agree that the last few episodes are some of the best outside of episode 3.
Yeah, episode 3 still top.
Yeah, for sure. Also, you want to talk about that VA swap with the ending?
God, when they switched to him singing the fucking ending song, which is all about, I want to see you and I'm sad, and he's running, and there's a montage of their memories, like, I fall so deep for that shit, so I felt it. I actually first watched that episode on my own, and then I was like, Teresa, I'm actually feeling things about Tada-kun, can we watch it together? And then I watched it with Teresa, and she cried, and I was like, okay, I'm glad we had this.
And you know what, that sucks, because that's probably one of the ones I skipped.
Yeah. Well, no, they played it in the episode. Like, it wasn't just the ending theme. It's when he's running and he's like, oh shit, I am in love with her.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
they used it as an insert song.
I missed it entirely.
Yeah, which makes sense if you skip the ending. Like, yeah, you wouldn't necessarily pick up on it that they used it as an insert song. But it fucked me up because, I don't know, I'm just weak to creative ending song usage.
That and when he, like, turned around after he found out, like, because that's the thing, like, they do all of these really cool, intricate, like, character exploration things in the last episode, because it's like, okay, to go and see Teresa, he had to, 1, get on a plane, which they established very early on that he cannot and will not do. Great job. Cool. I like that. Cool. Wonderful. He gets there and tries to talk to her, finds out that he doesn't stand a chance, leaves. And we have that moment where he turns around and he's got that single tear running down his face.
Oh,
and I was like, the fuck, show?
I forgot about that.
And then he runs after the goddamn letter in the stream.
Yeah.
It's his last chance. And I'm like, okay, all right. Okay, fine, I'm invested a little bit.
A little bit. Yep, a little bit.
You caught me with my pants down, show. I'm a little bit invested.
Damn.
That's amazing. Craig, I'm also curious about your question.
Oh, just my question was, okay, so he's into photography, right? I mean, he's in a club with Peen Senpai or Alpha and his friend and the dog boy and Hina or Hinako, which, by the way, that little Peen-chan and Hinako bit, yeah, I'm glad that got any fucking development in the slightest bit. Cool. But here's the question, and it's been a while since I watched it, so my memory's a bit hazy. Was his love of photography, Tada's, was it spurred by his father and mother, or his father? Did they give him a camera, or was that his grandfather that gave him the camera?
His parents were photographers.
Yeah.
His whole thing is that his dad was, like,
Thank you.
really popular, really good at photography, and he always looked up to his dad, and he also blamed himself
That was it, yep.
for his family's deaths, which was really deep, actually.
Yeah. I also liked the withholding of the photo that he took of Teresa until kind of later. They, like, held it and you're kind of like, ooh, I wonder what it looks like. And then, of course, it was, like, super pretty. Yeah, I had fun with that little bit.
And that's basically all I had.
Yeah.
I liked their matching rainbow Shogun keychains.
Oh, yeah, I forgot
Last
about
frame of the
that.
episode.
Well, that and, like, when he showed up to have a conversation with her, she pointed out that it was on his bag, and he was like, yeah, I've got this.
She really wanted that daifuku. And then I remember when, like, the maid or that, like, lady from Japan made daifuku, and she's like, oh my god, that's daifuku! And I'm like, oh, she misses her friends in Japan. Shit.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I did forget about that.
Oh! One other plot point that I was like, oh! Okay, I liked that she was the writer of the books that they liked.
Oh, yeah! That was cute.
Neat. Extremely convenient, but it was the only convenience that, like, I thought was kind of neat. I kind of thought it was kind of interesting that, oh, suddenly the grandpa knows somebody who used to work in the fucking coffee shop who suddenly conveniently is, like, the nanny or, like, caretaker of somebody who happens to be royalty. Okay, sure. All right.
Yeah.
Yep.
I found her being the writer of the books that the little sister and Alec were obsessed with way more convincing.
Yeah. We definitely talked about this a little on the side, Cassie, but I agree with you that I liked the bit of personality that they tried to give Tada's little sister. I just hated the melodrama of, like, her episode when she finds out Dog Boy, who I don't even give a shit about. I don't really like Dog Boy. You know, she finds out that he likes someone else, and then she just starts crying. I was like, this feels weird.
I mean, yeah, and, like, that's not expanded on either. Like, we find out that he actually likes the older woman who is the owner of Cherry, the other cat. But, like, the reason he is in love with that character is never expanded upon.
Yep.
And neither is the reason that she's in love with Dog Boy. It's like that they really wanted to hammer home that in this show that everybody loves somebody else that they can't have, and that's supposed to give you that weight when you finally get to the ultimate experience of, no, they're just not willing to actually put up the balls to do it. Now here's an actual relationship that technically really can't happen. Oh wait, it can. Here's the hope. Maybe that's what they were going for. I don't know.
Either way, it didn't land.
Nope.
Yep.
Nope. I appreciate the effort and the ambition of coming up with an original project, but I just don't think that most of the stuff that they wanted to do really landed.
Yeah, same.
All right. Speaking of sticking the landing, let's wrap this boy up. Thank you all for those who stuck around in this mini spoiler room for Tada Never Falls in Love. Yeah, with that being said, so long, farewell, avida, say goodbye.
Wow.
Adieu, adieu, to you and you and
To
you.
you and you.
Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do.
Oh, yes.